Hey folks, this is Matt once again. Wanted to review a few films that are not horror films. Now granted, I still have my 69 favorite horror films going, and I'll still keep going. Probably do a lot more when October comes up, but they're going to be once in a while ongoing series. But I like reviewing just random movies. Like I review Clash of Titans, Repo Man. I know someone was asking me my thoughts on these films, and I wanted to watch them again, and of course they are the Beverly Hills Cop trilogy. And I know there are rumors of a Beverly Hills Cop 4. I don't think it'll ever be made, and to be honest, there's a part of me that wonders if that's a good or a bad thing. But of course, yeah, I start with the original Beverly Hills Cop from 1984, directed by Martin Brest, which unfortunately the same director who did Geely. But this was a good one. And we all know the story about how Beverly Hills Cop came to be, about how you have Don Simpson and Jerry Bruckheimer, guys producers of Top Gun, among many other films. And this idea was going around, and like they had approached a few actors, including Mickey Rourke. Things didn't work out. And then the film was going to be made, only it was going to star Sylvester Stallone. So they had Sylvester Stallone, and then they're casting all these other people. They got Steven Berkoff. They got, Judge Reinhold, John Ashton, Lisa Elbacher. She was going to be the love interest. But then basically Stallone said, "Hey, let me have my try at writing it." And basically he lessened the comedy and upped up the action. I think the ending had something to do with like a Lamborghini or some type car, and like an incoming train or a plane or something like that. Like, it was heavy. Basically, his character's name he changed to the Motor City Cobra. I think it's Cobretti, the Motor City Cobra. And it was like big action sequences, and they couldn't afford it. So they say, "Okay, you tell Sly we won't cut out the action." No, you tell Sly. And Sly, they said, we gotta cast someone else. And Sly, even from the interview, they said Sly could have held them up, but he behaved like a gentleman. And in fact, later on, he would use these ideas to make Cobra, which is actually one of my favorite action films of all time, believe it or not. But then they got, the Axel Foley character to be played by, of course, Eddie Murphy. And it was the right choice. I mean, it was a good thing. That would I have liked to have seen Stallone? Yeah, I would have liked to have seen it, but that way Stallone got to make Cobra, one of my favorites, and then Eddie Murphy got to make Beverly Hills Cop, an extremely funny, entertaining movie. And the film, the plot, Axel Foley, of course you have the opening scene where he's on that bust of all this stolen stuff in the back of the truck, and he's a fast talker, sort of undercover, and some random cops show up and you have that big chase scene. And really good chase scene, well edited. And of course you have Eddie Murphy getting bitched out first off from this guy Paul Reiser plays, aka the Schmuck. And then his boss, and I forget his boss's name. I know Effrey, a good friend of mine, knows it right off the top of his head. And his boss is giving him shit. It's like, the chief called the mayor bit off my ass. You see, there's nothing left. And later on, Eddie Murphy's like, "Well, I can see you still got some ass left, Ellie. Don't fuck with me, Axel. Not today." So it's good dialogue, like good repartee, and apparently a lot of stuff was ad-libbed. So this is Eddie Murphy in his prime, in fine form. He has his buddy who's come to him, and unfortunately they start hanging out, good friends, but then he gets knocked down, his buddy gets killed, and Eddie Murphy has to travel to Beverly Hills to find his buddy's killer. And that's where we meet off our main villain, Steven Berkoff. And for those who don't know, that's the main bad guy in Rambo 2. It's weird though, this was 84, right? When was Rambo 2 made? Was that the year after? So it's weird that Stallone was going to work with Steven Berkoff as the main villain in this film. Stallone must have liked the guy, because then he went on to be the villain in Rambo 2. a year or two later. So I thought that's ironic, kind of cool. But basically, Eddie Murphy then meets up with some of the Beverly Hills Cops. You have Judge Reinhold, who plays Billy Rosewood. You have John Ashton, plays Taggart. You have their boss, played with Ronnie Cox. Eddie Murphy meets with his another friend of his, Lisa Albacher, who works in this art exhibit. And our main bad guy, Victor Maitland, is an art dealer. And the plot is basically smuggling operation with drugs. Nothing much home to run about. But it's not really about the plot. It's not even really about the action. You get a couple good action scenes, you know, the opening, even in the ending where they're going to the compound. But some people may say they're tame by today's standards, but this is a film that is not about the action. It's more about the comedy and the wit, and it really works well. I mean, Eddie Murphy's Axel Foley really is a wise ass. He's fast talking. He uses his wit is his most deadly weapon. You know, fast talking, making people believe what he wants them to believe. Like when Taggart and Rosewood are following Axel, and Axel convinces them to be in the strip club. Axel knows that there's some gunmen, and they're able to take them down. And Ryan Cox, the boss, is like, "Okay, what happened?" And Murphy starts to talk of, "They're super cops. Okay, all they need is some capes." You know, he tells this big story. And Ryan Cox looks at John Ashton. What really happened? Is this true? John Ashton tells the truth. And Eddie Murphy's like, "You fuck up a perfectly good lie, and I don't get you guys." It's just a lot of memorable, fun dialogue and memorable sequences. Everybody remembers the banana in the tailpipe into the two cops' car. And you have this other team that follows Eddie Murphy, and it's like a white guy and a black guy, and the black guy says, the only reason I mention race is because of this joke that Eddie Murphy says, "We're not going to fall for a banana in a tailpipe." And then Murphy fires back, "You're not going to fall for a banana in a tailpipe? It should flow more natural, brother. It should be, hey man, I'm not going to fall for no banana in no tailpipe." Tailpipe? I fucked it up already. "Hey man, I'm not going to fall for some banana in no tailpipe." See, it should flow more natural. You've been hanging out with this dude too long. I know I fucked up the joke, but that is more incentive to watch the movie and show how professionals do it right. Because Axel Foley is a likable character, he's a smart ass, and what's great about this movie is that the supporting actors work well. And it's kind of like Twist of Fate is Sloan, they may have worked even better for this movie, but it seemed like the cast, everything would make you believe it's a strict action movie. But then it goes a little curveball with Eddie Murphy. And everything sort of gets filled in with that energy. Like, you have the female, she's not just another typical love interest. Instead, she's just a buddy to Eddie Murphy. With Judge Reinhold and John Ashton, they're very likable, and they're, some say they may be close to cartoonish, but they don't really fall into that cartoon realm, which I think Part 3 unfortunately did. But they work well together, and it's always like a father hen, mother hen when they're talking in the car, and it's like, Judge Reinhold was like, "You know, the average American eats this amount of red meat," and, you know, Ashton's like, "Why are you telling me this?" "Well, I know you eat a lot of red meat." The little back and forth is fun, entertaining. And Axel Foley is a guy who's a wise ass, but he has fun. And even the Ronnie Cox character, he's the typical asshole police chief. But not really. Because, you know, there's like a scene where, you know, Eddie Murphy's been arrested again by Victor Maitland. Because Victor was having dinner. There's a funny scene for people who have the DVD. During that dinner scene, when Eddie Murphy enters that little restaurant, after he fakes, like, the attendant won't let him in, he's like, "Yes, I'd like to talk to Victor Maitland. I want to tell him that I went to the hospital and I have Hercules Simplex 10. And I want to talk to Victor to have him go check with a doctor to make sure, you know, nothing's falling off on the man." And the guy's like, "I think you should tell him yourself." See, that's what I like about it. He's talking shit, and he's trying to talk his way in and out of situations. Again, his wit and his mouth is as big as weapon. That's why I loved Eddie Murphy back in the day. Nowadays, it kind of lost me, but back in the day, it was excellent. And in that scene where, like, Victor Malin's Steven Berkoff's henchman tries to, "When you get out of here, cuz," Eddie Murphy flips him over a table, and if you see the Eddie Murphy character flip the guy over the table and pause it, that's that Eddie Murphy. Like, it looks like Richard Pryor. It's not, but it's like Richard Pryor's brother, Richard Pryor's stand-in stunt double. I mean, it looks a lot like Richard Pryor in that scene, and it's very, even without slowing it down, I noticed it. So that's a very little funny goof up, but like Ronnie Cox, he gets arrested. Ronnie Cox is like, "Don't tell me what you can prove. Just tell me what's going on," and listens to the guy.